Hello everyone. Next lecture, the lecture number 4, is related to privacy. Privacy and its importance. Privacy is a fundamental right of the people. Defi- Definition of privacy: the state or condition of being free from observation or disturbance by other people, freedom from unauthorized intrusion, rights of citizens and consumers. You have the right that your personally identifiable information (PII) is kept securely. Emphasis on maintaining confidentiality and protecting against unauthorized access. Privacy basically refers to the fact that the content you are watching or the content you have are safe from the watch of other people around you. Privacy regulations overview. US privacy regulation. A patchwork of laws with some overlapping and some areas with no real protection. Examples include HIPAA, FERPA, and the California Consumer Privacy Act (CCPA). EU law: strict protection on what data is gathered, how it is used, and how it is stored. General Data Protection Regulation (GDPR) is a key example providing comprehensive data protection rules. Introduction to risk management. Let us understand risk management in details. Risk management identification. The formula for risk is threat times vulnerability. Threat defines the fact that how much the situation is worse to the organization. Let us have an example like a cybercrime is happening to organization. The threat to the organization times vulnerability to the particular field where the attack has occurred is defined as the risk. Next comes total risk. Total risk takes into factor the asset value. Asset value is the amount of how much the information which is being threatened or which has been exposed to vulnerability is worth. Residual risk is equal to the total risk minus the countermeasures taken to prevent that risk. Key definitions. Threat. A threat is a potentially harmful incident. Vulnerability. Vulnerability is a weakness that can allow the threat to cause harm. Due diligence and due care. Due diligence. Doing the research before implementation. Abbreviation DD. Do detect. Due care. The implementation of security measures. Abbreviation DC. Do correct. Due diligence is the fact that how can we prevent what security vulnerability is going to happen. It is like having proper plans to prevent any risk or vulnerabilities that is going to happen in a particular field of the organization. Due care. Due care is the fact that after a vulnerability or a risk or a threat happens in our organization, how can we prevent that or mitigate that or reduce that? The risk management lifecycle. The risk management lifecycle is an iterative process. It includes identify the risk management team, define the scope, what is in and what is out, select methods and tools for risk analysis, determining acceptable risk levels and the organization's risk appetite, that is, how much the organization can be susceptible to the risk and without and damage. Asset identification, identifying assets. Types of assets. There are commonly two types of assets. One is tangible. Tangible means the things we can touch. These are physical hardware, buildings, or anything we can touch. Intangible: data, trade secrets, reputation, intellectual property. These are all the intangible assets which we cannot touch but are important and are an asset to the organization whose security needs to be preserved. Purpose: understanding what needs protection to perform effective risk analysis. Risk assessment methods. Risk assessment methods are quantitative and qualitative in nature. Quantitative, focused on numerical values like costs and factual data. Qualitative, focus on the likelihood of events and their potential impact. Uncertainty analysis, evaluating the uncertainty in risk predictions and assessments. Risk mitigation strategies, how can we mitigate the risk posed to our organization? Types of risk responses. First one is mitigation. Mitigation means implementing the measures to reduce the risk our organization is facing. Transference. Transference refers to the fact that the risk is shifted to another party, for example, insurance. Acceptance. Acceptance includes acknowledging and accepting risk when mitigation is not cost effective. Avoidance. Eliminating the risk by altering the planned approach. Qualitative risk analysis. Conducting qualitative risk analysis using risk analysis matrix. Evaluating how likely an event is going to happen. Assessing the severity of impact if it occurs. Example, laptop theft. Likely occurrence and impact assessment. Quantitative risk analysis. Title, Conducting quantitative risk analysis. There are some components for conducting quantitative risk analysis. These are the asset value. Asset value is referred to the worth of the asset. Exposure factor, percentage of asset loss that may not harm the organization. Single loss expectancy SLE, which is the product of the asset value and the exposure factor. Annual rate of occurrence ARO, frequency of incidents per year. This is the measure of how many incidents of cybercrime occurs in a particular year. Annualized loss expectancy ALE. The ALE of an organization is determined by the factor if any cyber attack occurs, how much is our organization secured and susceptible to that attack. If it is not so, then how much loss our organization can incur in case of an attack throughout the year. Example of quantitative analysis. Laptop loss. Example. Asset value is 1000 rupees, 1000 per loss. Exposure factor 100% loss. Single loss expectancy $11,000 per incident. Annual rate of occurrence 25 incidents per year. Annualized loss expectancy $275,000 per year. Total cost of ownership 1000. Mitigation costs. Types of risk responses. There are some types of risk responses. These are accept the risk. When mitigation costs more than the risk, we have to accept the risk. Mitigate the risk, implementing measures like encryption to try to mitigate the risk or to lower the damage it might incur to our organization. Transfer the risk, using insurance to cover the potential losses of the attack. Risk avoidance, avoiding risk by altering plans, not issuing laptops, for example. Risk rejection, ignoring a known risk which is never acceptable. We cannot ignore the risk our organization may face. Secondary risk, new risks that arise from mitigation efforts. We need to address those risks as well. Key risk indicators KRI. Key risk indicators are metrics that demonstrate the risks an organization faces, used for early warning of increasing risk exposures. Importance helps in establishing and monitoring enterprise risk appetite. Risk and control monitoring. Ongoing risk and control monitoring. It is a continuous process. Regulatory monitor both the risks and the effectiveness of controls. Use KRIs and KPIs to track performance and adherence to risk management plans. Annual lifecycle reviews and out-of-cycle assessments for critical items. This is some of the risk and risk control monitoring systems. So, our final conclusion are Privacy as a fundamental right. Importance of securing PII and adhering to privacy laws. Risk management processes. Identifying, assessment and mitigation of risks. Importance of due diligence and due care. Continuous monitoring and updating of risk management strategies. Effective risk management ensures the security and integrity of the organizational assets and data. Thank you and have a nice day.